Over the span of 4 consecutive WrestleManias, Triple H, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker were a part of one of the most riveting stories in WWE history. It was an example of how long-term storytelling can be accomplished successfully, stretching over the course of those 4 years. With the people involved though, it was a story that spanned much longer. The 3 men are all true, undisputed legends of the business. All 3 men now rightfully resting in the WWE Hall of Fame, having gone into it in 2011, 2022 and 2025 respectively. Their history in the business and with each other makes this story delve much further into the past. All 3 men waged war with one another in the 1990s and across the 2000s. Numerous times in different matches, different stipulations and different moments. When Shawn Michaels decided to take aim at The Undertaker's illustrious undefeated streak at WrestleMania 25, it was to prove he could do something that no one else in history, including Triple H, had ever done. Welcome to Honor Wrestling Club, and here is our look at long-term storytelling done right with The Undertaker versus DX. Let's break it down. Welcome to the club. Let's start out at the beginning. Firstly, Undertaker vs Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. Their match is thought by many to be the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, and it was as close to perfect as a match may ever be. When Taker emerged victoriously, Michaels disappeared, ashamed and distraught by his loss, and it took his longtime best friend and Degeneration ex-stablemate Triple H to convince him to return, after a hiatus following some very funny backstage skits. However, upon returning, Michaels had one very clear goal: to avenge his loss to The Undertaker. With a Deadman reigning as World Heavyweight Champion, Michaels decided to try to win the Royal Rumble. A Rumble where he would eliminate his own best friend Triple H to get his goal, where he would fail in one of the most devastating eliminations of all time, which is easily Shawn's best acting in WWE. He would then cost Taker the title the next month to ensure that his rematch was to take place in an all-time great Elimination Chamber moment. It was a story of desperation and obsession and would culminate in another Mania match, but this time Michaels' career was on the line. Now that brings us to our next match in the saga, of Undertaker vs Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 26. This match was different to the previous ones, perhaps less of a perfect wrestling match, but a perfect example of storytelling and emotion. Michaels would lose, bowing out in the main event of the show he defined for the previous 2 decades, and he would never wrestle again, guys. Never again. This wouldn't be the end though, as Triple H challenged Taker the year after to avenge his best friend's forced retirement. It was a natural progression to this story, and in the build-up, tension would even arise between Triple H and Michaels, with airs of jealousy and desire to do what the other couldn't. These plot points were powerful. The match at 27 was a nasty brawl. This match was once again different, being in a no-holds-barred environment, a brutal brawl which became quite hard to watch towards the end. However, it was the only saving grace of the otherwise dreadful WrestleMania 27. Triple H nailing Taker with a chair shot after chair shot, including one to the skull that got both men fined, but the Deadman just refused to stay dead. He would eventually rise from somewhere deep within him to gain victory and extend his streak to 19-0, but he was carried out on a stretcher, so who had really won? I'll answer that question. The Undertaker had won, the WWE Rest in Peace next to his name in the record books. This would set up the match the year after, with this time Undertaker being the one looking for redemption, challenging the game to a rematch after not being able to walk out on his own 2 feet. The match was set for WrestleMania 28, inside of Hell in a Cell, with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. It was poetic for all 3 men to be present for a match billed as the end of an era, which it certainly was for this epic tale, made even more fitting by good old JR on commentary. The match was once again different to the others and full of emotion, ego and brutality, giving the WWE one of the greatest near falls of all time, where both Triple H and Shawn Michaels teamed up to try and put down the Deadman, trying to end the streak together. However, it wasn't enough. Eventually Taker would prevail and Michaels unwillingly counted the 3 count, ending the story once and for all. In a shoot moment, the 3 embraced as after helping each other up the ramp, and they would stand on the stage together and then would have a big cuddle in a phenomenal moment. This story played out over 4 years, but the reason it was able to work so well was that it was spread out amongst those 4 years, being returned to when it was necessary, and it made sense within the story. The caliber of superstars involved meant this could progress the way it needed to. It wouldn't work with just anybody. The fans were happy to wait for the next chapter, and it would be worth the wait each time. True emotion, huge moments, grand entrances, and character development over the years created a truly captivating experience. Something far grander than rematches and tense encounters on week-to-week TV, and then they just went out and delivered banger after banger. These men wanted to go to war. They wanted redemption, and it was all believable. This was the perfect example of long-term storytelling done right. And there's our video, so what do you think? What's your take on these matches and which of them is your favourite? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you're new around here. That's all for now, so I'd just like to thank you for watching and welcome to the club. See ya!